I had to get everybody's attention. Good evening. This regular meeting of the Board of Trustees is being held Tuesday, February the 15th, 2022. The meeting is being called to order and the time is 6 p.m. Everyone, please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Lily Gutierrez. She's a third grader at James Butler Elementary School. Welcome.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Let's proceed to our next item, our interim superintendent's comments.
Good evening, everyone. President Morales, members of the board. I want to wish, first of all, Trustee Pablo Barrera a belated happy birthday. His birthday was on February the 9th. Congratulations, Mr. Barrera. And I also want to wish Trustee Cynthia Nájera a happy birthday. Her birthday will be this Saturday, February the 19th. And today we welcome many new administrators to SISD, so I'd like to welcome Marianne Torales as the new assistant principal of Captain Walter E. Clark Middle School. Welcome Mr. Fernando Miranda as the new principal of our new Ben Narbuth Elementary School, which will open this summer. Welcome Mr. James Nunn as the new coordinator of emergency management. Welcome Ms. Melissa Gardner as the new assistant principal at Pebble Hills High School. Welcome Lizette Rocha as the new assistant principal of Specialist Rafael Hernando III Middle School. Welcome Rosa Cerato as the new assistant principal at Chester E. Jordan Elementary School. Welcome Paula Figueroa as the new assistant principal at James P. Butler Elementary School. Welcome Sonia Baez Morales as the new assistant principal at Loma Verde Elementary School. And last but not least, Mr. Roberto Guerrero as the new assistant principal at Desert Wind Pre-K-8 School. In the last couple of months, we have been fortunate to welcome talented and valuable members to the Socorro ISD family. These new hires are working as support technicians in our technology services department. The best thing about these employees is that they are recent graduates of Team SISD from the class of 2021. They gained plenty of experience through their hands-on training in our schools and departments and earned industry certifications through our extraordinary career in technical education, computer maintenance, and networking program. Our CTE and Technology Services Department have long worked together to train students to be prepared to jump into the workforce immediately after graduation and many times while they are still in school or college. These CTE students get real-world experience here in the district, working on the technology help desk, preparing laptops for students, and helping with many other computer maintenance jobs. Our incredible CTE teachers and technology services team are doing a fantastic job preparing these students to join the workforce and gain a solid income straight out of high school. I salute these hardworking, ambitious, and well-trained new employees who are computer experts in our district. They are our why. They are why we work so hard every day to give them endless opportunities to be successful now and in their future. Great job to them, and thank you for all you do to support this great program. And just a couple of events. This week we are announcing our Elite 8 Teachers of the Year. We were proud to have announced 4 of them today, and we will be announcing the remaining 4 tomorrow. Also, next month, we will have March Intercession from March the 7th through the 18th. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Carmona. We're going to move to item 4, Board Honors. Our presenter is Daniel Escobar.
Good evening, President Morales, members of the board, Interim Superintendent Dr. Carmona. My name is Daniel Escobar, Chief Communications Officer for the district, and it is my pleasure to introduce tonight's recognitions. If you all please would step down to receive our honorees. Our first recognition this evening honors a James P. Butler Elementary School robotics team, Robo Radius, for winning the Inspire Award at this year's RoboCom 8.0 event. The Inspire Award is the top award of the event, which featured 37 SISD robotics teams. Robo Radius executed superior computer programming and critical thinking skills at the competition with poise and expertise, making them victorious. Congratulations to Robo Radius. They are Jackie Reyes, Zoe Ogaz, Avery Gutierrez, Michael Vasquez, Joshua Alvarado, Noah Corona, Cesar Canales. Instructors are Crystal Castillo and Victor Morales. Students, if we can have you all back up to the front here where you can join our trustees and Dr. Carmona for a photo. You're good? Can you get it? Okay. And just a quick note that all the photos taken tonight by our district photographer, Mr. Largo, will be posted on the district website. On the bottom right-hand corner is a camera icon. The photos are available for free high-resolution download. Congratulations once again. Next, we honor 15 SISD students who earned the prestigious recognition of 2022 Texas Music Educators Association All-State Musicians. These talented band, choir, mariachi, and orchestra students were selected from more than 70,000 individuals who competed in the TMEA auditions. Being selected as a TMEA All-State Musician is the highest honor a Texas music student can receive. And as a note, SISD has had the most state qualifiers out of the entire El Paso region. So congratulations to these talented musicians in our SISD music program. Thank you, ma'am. From America's High School, Ivan Sanchez. From Eastlake High School, David Villa. From El Dorado High School, Jacob Valencia. Also from El Dorado, Jacob Arias. Another El Dorado student, Micah Carrasco. From Pebble Hills High School, Gretchen Guerrero. Also from Pebble Hills, Joseph Zapp. Continuing with students from Pebble Hills, Sebastian Contreras. Adrian Luna. And Santiago Alvarez. From Americas High School, Lauren Garcia. From Eastlake High School, Esperanza Herrera. From Pebble Hills High School, Nathaniel Payan. Also from Pebble Hills, Samantha Vega. And from Americas High School, Ricardo Chacon. Students, if we can have you all back to the front, please. Is that more center? Well, let's put them on the end. Yeah, we can see. All right, we'll have all of you look forward. Certificates up, looking right here at the center. Keep smiling, looking center. All right. Congratulations once again. Our next recognition tonight honors 6 SISD students who represented the district in a statewide convention for the Texas Dance Educators Association in Houston. The students, representing all 6 high schools, comprehensive high schools, dance programs, performed in a contingent of 220 dancers from across the state. They were selected based on their performance, technique, choreography, and preparation in auditions conducted earlier this year. Congratulations to these incredible student dancers. They are from Americas High School, Mia Lopez. From Eastlake High School, Alexandria Barragan. From El Dorado High School, Amy Gonzalez. From Montwood High School, Karina Vargas. From Pebble Hills High School, Ariel de Santiago. And from Socorro High School, Elizabeth Limones. If we'll have you all back up front, please, for a photo. Congratulations once again. Our next recognition honors an SISD school librarian and a fourth grade teacher who were finalists for the School Library Journal's Library Teacher Collaboration Award. They earned this prestigious recognition for bolstering the literacy culture at their school by creating book clubs, engaging with parents, and creating other fun literacy-based activities and programs for their students. Congratulations to Desert Wind School librarian Emma Romero. And fourth grade teacher, Andre Von Twistern. We can have you right back up front and center for a photo. One more. Congratulations again. Thank you. Our final recognition this evening honors the SISD Purchasing Department for earning the Texas Association of School Business Officials Purchasing Award of Merit for the 11th consecutive year. The TASBO Award of Merit recognizes Texas school districts, charter schools, and education service centers that are committed to following professional standards in the acquisition of goods and services. The employees in the SISD Purchasing Department are highly qualified and effective with many years of experience in maintaining outstanding financial procedures in the district. Congratulations to the SISD Purchasing Department. 11 consecutive years that they've received this award. Members of the team are Lydia Aguirre, Patty Delgado, Aide Escobedo, Judith Gonzalez, Diana Hans, Julie Mancinas Rosales, Debbie Mora, Maria Morales, and the team is led by Director Samuel Garcia. If we can have you all please come back forward for a photo. Congratulations once again. And that concludes our recognitions for the evening. Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and move to item 6, open forum. Before we do that, I need to read a statement. The district is a local government body charged with serving the educational needs of all school children in our district. And board meetings must be focused on meeting this charge. The district board meetings are public meetings under the Texas Open Meetings Act to conduct the business of the district. They are not, however, meetings of the public. Therefore, all persons in attendance are expected to display civility and decorum. Individuals shall refrain from using harmful and offensive content for respect of the rights and reputation of others. We greatly appreciate those individuals who have requested to speak to the board during this open forum or in regards to a specific agenda item. We are bound by certain time constraints in order to cover all the items on the agenda and therefore must limit presentations to 5 minutes. Please respect the rights of others in your presentation. By law, the board cannot take action upon or discuss any item which is not posted on tonight's agenda, but we will give all presentations our serious consideration. Thank you, and let's proceed to open forum. Our first speaker is Ms. Angie, I know her as Angie Soto. I apologize.
Good evening, Board President David Morales, board members, and Interim Superintendent Dr. Marta Carmona. My name is Angelica Soto, and I am the President for Socorro Education Association. I am addressing you tonight to, first of all, celebrate all the very hardworking employees of the district. A great majority of SISD employees go above and beyond to keep the district running smoothly and ensure that our students are well taught, fed, safe, have a clean and pleasing environment. In my job, I see the stresses every employee experiences with these pandemic conditions. As dedicated educators, our teachers work many, many hours to provide the best education to every single student, as evidenced by the data. Administrators and supervisors also labor diligently to keep operations flowing smoothly. Many employees could be recognized for their best efforts, but the time is limited. An organization's success is measured by its every member's success, and that is why SISD has been consistently recognized for the success of its students. No organization is perfect, but we can see how the district always strives to improve and to do what is best for its students and its employees. As a witness to that over many decades, I admire how the district has handled the problems created by being a property-poor district and going through a pandemic. In addition, SISD has always done right by its employees in spite of the limited funds it receives. It has consistently and wisely invested in its human capital, and for that reason, I respectfully request that you carefully consider how to retain our experienced employees to limit staff shortages. Employees at every level desire to be recognized for their commitment to their job as reflected in their working conditions and salaries. For this reason, we entreat you to do your best within the financial constraints to compensate SISD employees fairly and equitably. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dr. Carmen Olivas Graham.
Good evening, President Morales and esteemed board members. Overseeing a large innovative school district such as ours at Socorro ISD is not an easy task. So thank you on behalf of all of us for your service on the board. Serving on a board, I relate to the multiple challenges that you face during your meetings, especially this school year. I have been with SISD since 1985, and I have served in various capacities. As you may know, I currently work to address grievances and community complaints. Due to the nature of my job, I have close interaction with all campus administrators, district leaders, and countless parents. Today, I am addressing you on behalf of myself and many other concerned staff members and community parents. There is a concern regarding the board's upcoming selection of the next SISD superintendent. The resignation of the former superintendent created instability, but you wisely chose an interim that quickly stabilized the district, enabling us to continue successfully moving forward. Under Dr. Carmona's leadership, we have gained the momentum needed to face the multitude of issues the past months have presented. She has demonstrated to be honest, supportive, and caring of students and staff engaged, and an overall hands leader. Additionally, she is innovative and has shared a vision for success of students with frequent reminders for us to lead with our hearts. It has been disheartening to hear rumors that the board is not considering a woman who has been on the job, selected by current board members, and who is working so hard with us to ensure continuity and future success. District staff and administrators often express to me their fear of several members of the board. My response is that no board has ever faced a pandemic in our lifetime or faced such a tough decisions with such little experience on a school board. With that said, I want to remind you that this is a moment for you to do the right thing and select a Hispanic female that is fully credentialed, homegrown, intelligent, and who cares for the children of our El Paso Socorro community. Please don't import an outsider from the firm's good old boy system that will use SISD as a stepping stone just long enough to get a larger district with a higher salary. Historically, in El Paso, we have shown superintendents come from the outside and often engage in prohibited or illegal acts and then leave our local districts in disarray. As a lifelong educator, more than 35 years, I can tell you that our community students and staff pay the price. This is disheartening for those of us who have worked so hard to create a college-going culture where all our students achieve and advance our community and themselves. Think of the message you're sending Hispanic females, our students, when you deny qualified local people the opportunity for upward mobility. What message are we sending them? Finally, during the meetings we had with the search group, there was full consensus in staff responses that Dr. Carmona met the full profile of what we should be looking for. I was there. Her roots are well established in this district and this community, having a mother that served children in the Escontrias cafeteria, where I was a teacher years ago, and a father who drove buses for SISD, and all were educated in our district. I realize this is a difficult decision, but on behalf of many of our administrators, who again are fearful of speaking out, and on behalf of parents and other staff, please do the right thing and give our interim the opportunity to serve this community as Socorro ISD superintendent. Thank you for your attention.
Our next speaker is Maria Ramos.
Ditto everything. And then some. My name is Maria Ramos, and I've been in this community well over 30 years. I am very proud of having lived in this district, having my children, my own children, go through their entire schooling career here, and now my grandchildren, and also as a former educator. It was very disheartening a few days ago, right before the snow days. You know, I just assumed everything was going well, and you know, I had heard wonderful things about the interim superintendent, and she was doing a great job. And I know that because I know a thing or two, because I've seen a thing or two and lived a thing or two. And so, you know, all's well when there's no concerns and complaints. But then, as I was walking out in the neighborhood, I started hearing parents talking and community people saying things that I was hoping wouldn't be true. But then I went to a dinner where I heard people from outside the district, from several organizations, some from some veteran organizations, from the League of United Latin American Citizens, from just different organizations, and they were all talking about our district and saying the same kind of things I was hearing in the community. And that's when I said, no, you've got to do something. So I did start calling out some board members. I talked to some of you. A couple I didn't get to. I think I left a message on one, and one I just never got an answer from. But I kept hearing the same thing because I, too, was expressing a lot of the concerns about, why were they not considering her? Because what I had heard was she wasn't even being given an opportunity, things that, because they're saying she's not as experienced. I said, what? And so then that's when I said, no, I have to do something in all good faith because, again, I love Socorro ISD. And I will continue to do everything I can in my power to help. And I started calling some administrators, some teachers, some parents, support staff, because, I was in this district a long time. And again, I know many of them, and they were all saying the same things. She's doing a great job from day one. She was up and running. We've had such a smooth transition, the pandemic. It's all working out well. The snow day, believe me, I've lived through a lot of snow days. I worked in Austin ISD here, and I heard they had gone very smoothly. As a parent and as a grandparent, I know that for a fact because for once, we knew exactly what we needed to do that next day. And before, it was like, do we listen to the news? Do we go to the website? What do we do? And it was all clear cut. And I don't think she leaves a stone unturned. She covers just about everything. And again, because she has lived in this district from pre-K through high school is what I heard. She's gotten her education. She meets all the criteria and exceeds it as far as I'm concerned in everything that I've looked at. I've served on many interview committees, both in the private and public sector, and I've gone through a lot of criteria. And she would qualify under any of those sets of criteria that I've been, that I've had to follow in selecting and interviewing candidates. So I too heard a lot of things in the district, some very troubling and disturbing things, but I hate to repeat rumors and stuff and things unless I've had the personal opportunity to fact check them myself, because I know how things happen like that. But what I have learned is that anytime there's something going out there, that there's at least a shred of truth in it, and that's how it gets started. But anyway, I called all the board members, and I'm sorry, I spoke to 5 for sure, and basically what I was hearing is, well, we're using this criteria, and are you asking us not to use the criteria? And I said, absolutely not. What I'm saying is follow the criteria because she will meet every criteria part that you're saying. And then I kind of, and what they were saying, I felt like she didn't have the experience. What? She has more experience than any other candidate, because who else has had almost a year of experience, successful experience in our district? No one. Then I heard things like, well, before I get to that, I asked, well, is she even interviewing? Well, we can't disclose that because we've all sworn to an oath of confidentiality and that we won't disclose that. I said, excuse me, I'm a taxpayer. I have a right to know who you're considering as a candidate. I have a right to know so that I can do some homework too and look into them, because many of them, they come from smaller school districts. They're not doing so well over there. And someone really that's coming from outside, like the bigger ones like Dallas, Fort Worth, and all of that, they're getting paid good money. So why are they coming over here? Often, things aren't going so well for them. But anyway, when I heard that, that's when I did bring up some of the things I had heard in the community. Because I said, you're telling me that confidentiality, but I've heard that there's a podcast out there that's saying that not only are they getting rid of her, but that they're bringing in someone from Fort Worth or possibly the Austin area. Now,
Ms.
excuse
Ramos,
me?
I'm sorry, but you've exceeded your 5 minutes. You want to finish up?
Does anyone want to
You could go ahead. You
Is
can
there
go ahead,
anyone that wants
just-
to donate some minutes? Because
just-
I've got one more thing to say.
Just go ahead, you got a minute then, go ahead.
Oh, okay, I thought I was totally out. So I thought she meets and exceeds the criteria. She has the credentials. She has the experience that no one else has. Tell me one of those candidates that has been a superintendent here for almost a year. None. Tell me one of those candidates that knows the children, the parents, the community. None. Tell me one of those candidates that has been successful in doing what she's doing now, even when they started where they're at. None. Because it always takes people at least a year or two to even get to know the key players, the stakeholders in the district. She already knows all of them. And so, again, I know to some degree I feel like there's a violation of the EEOC guidelines because she is not even given an opportunity. So what are you all afraid of? That she'll get it? Because I think she should get it. And we have someone here, homegrown, that our children can look up to and say, hey, I'm one of her, like her. I can grow up to be a superintendent. I can grow up to be anything I want because she did it. Okay.
Ms. Ramos, thank you. Your time, you've exceeded your time.
Thank you. I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
I get very passionate about
Thank you.
Socorro ISD.
Our next speaker, we have Mr. Jaime Diaz.
Antes de empezar, a Alonso les va a pasar la escala del salario, por favor.
Thank you.
Gracias. Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes, a Superintendente Carmona y mesa directiva. Ok, mi nombre es Jaime Díaz. He sido un chofer de Socorro por 25 años. También soy miembro de Socorro Education Association. Hemos visto que los salarios de escala de empleados de transportación han cambiado cada año, pero hay algunas discrepancias en ese pedazo, ¿ok? Cuando se compara diferentes años escolares, por ejemplo, hay una diferencia de 19 centavos entre cada paso de salario de escala por año escolar 2019-2020 y ahora hay una diferencia de 17 centavos. So, bajaron 2 centavos. ¿Qué está pasando ahí? ¿Me entiende? Queremos saber qué está pasando. ¿Por qué lo bajaron? En lugar de irlo subiendo, lo bajan. ¿Me entiende? Por eso muchos de los que tenemos aquí muchos años no avanzamos en nuestro pago. Hemos estado atorados bastante tiempo. So, la escala del 2021-2022 queremos saber por qué ha disminuido la diferencia entre esos años. ¿Por qué bajó en lugar de subir? Bajó 2 centavos, es demasiado, ¿me entiende? Por hora es demasiado. Usted pone en años y va a ser bastante dinero. Nosotros los empleados de transportación somos los primeros al llegar al trabajo y los últimos al irnos. Siempre nos dicen eso en cualquier junta y lo que ustedes todo el tiempo lo dicen. Pero les voy a decir una cosa, no nos apoyan, no nos han subido el salario como deben de subirlo. Siempre nos dicen eso, ay, ustedes son los primeros y los niños son los primeros que los ven y los últimos que los ven. ¿Es cierto? Sí, ¿verdad? Porque nosotros los estamos lidiando, nos andamos arriesgando en la carretera cuando está muy nevado, muy llovido y queremos tener una buena recompensa por eso, ¿me entiendes? Queremos estar con ustedes el team. Como este año, cuando empezó la pandemia, nosotros fuimos los únicos que salimos a repartir tareas. Y no era mucho el grupo de transportación, mucha gente no quiso salir por eso. Nos estábamos arriesgando a nuestra salud, la salud de nuestras familias, y fuimos los únicos. Eso también queremos que vean ustedes, que nosotros somos la mano derecha de este distrito, ¿me entienden? Somos la mano derecha, aunque ustedes no lo crean, nosotros movemos la economía de este distrito, porque nosotros movemos a todos esos niños. Queremos que nos apoyen a nosotros en unos mejores salarios, por favor. Aunque otros distritos han aumentado los salarios, suficientemente para alcanzar la inflación, el aumento de la gasolina, como está ahorita. La comida ha subido mucho y el costos de vida. Nosotros venimos a la Junta de la Mesa Directiva en octubre pasado para exigir un aumento de salario, pero no hemos recibido ni una respuesta. A mí se me hace como que, ¿qué pasa ahí? ¿Verdad? Queremos saber, de perdida, háblenos, ¿saben qué? Está pasando esto, pero desde esa fecha hasta ahorita que estoy parado aquí, no hemos recibido nada. ¿Me entienden? Nosotros no, personalmente no. Exigir un aumento de salario pero no hemos recibido una respuesta del distrito. Entonces, nos hace sentir como que no importamos al distrito o miembros de la mesa directiva, aunque somos los empleados que llevamos a los estudiantes a la escuela de regreso y a casa el mismo día. ¿Okay? Si Socorro no aumenta nuestro salario suficientemente, continuaremos a ver aquí enseguida, muy cerca, hay muchos lugares que van a emplear mucha gente y con muy buenos salarios, ¿me entienden? Y yo pienso, ustedes lo han visto en la televisión, la Guardia Nacional, no sé en qué estado, no tenían choferes y se fueron a ayudarles. No necesitamos hacer eso. Ustedes, si nos pagaran bien a todos los de transportación, un buen salario, ¿me entienden? No nos íbamos. Aquí nos quedamos en la casa con ustedes como un team. No necesitamos hacer tanto, háblale a la Guardia Nacional, háblale a esto. No, señores, el remedio está aquí con ustedes. No necesitamos andar arriba y abajo buscando qué nos puede ayudar. Por eso no se queda la gente por el salario. Estamos muy abajo, ¿me entiende? Ok, pero necesitamos la palabra con los salarios bajos. Si quieren mantener al equipo de Socorro fuerte, tienen que pagar más a los empleados de transportación porque realmente nos sentimos que no somos parte de su equipo. Ok, porque siempre nosotros pedimos y no sé, no nos hicieron caso desde ese mes que yo vine y no han dicho nada. Y muchas gracias por su atención y espero una respuesta de ustedes, por favor. Gracias.
Our next speaker is Ms. Melissa Melendez.
Good evening, Superintendent Carmona and Socorro ISD Board Trustees. My name is Melissa Melendez, and I am a bus driver at Socorro with 13 years of bus driving experience. I am also a member of the Socorro Education Association. I've been with the district for 7 years, and we are now seeing that bus drivers that are hired this year are getting paid more than what I'm getting paid based on my years of experience. All the experienced drivers and monitors feel the same way, that we are underpaid. And now, EPISD has raised the starting salary for bus drivers with 0 years of experience with $17 an hour, which is only 12 cents less than what I'm making now for 13 years of experience. Bus drivers and monitors are the first ones to go to work and the last ones to leave work, and we should get compensated more. We work through all conditions, whether it's putting our health at risk with the pandemic or bad weather at Socorro, bad weather, and Socorro needs to step up its salary for transportation employees to be competitive with our neighboring school districts. Even though SISD salary scales for transportation employees have gone up every year, they haven't gone up enough to catch up with the inflation and increased cost of living expensive. Bus drivers and monitors showed up to the October SISD board meeting to demand higher salaries, but we haven't heard back from the district since then. This makes us feel that the district and board members don't care about transportation employees, which is our students, which brings our students to school and back to their homes every single day. If Socorro doesn't increase our salaries, we're going to continue to see great employees retire sooner than later or leave the district to find similar working with better pay. You've gifted us nice T-shirts from this district that says you, me, we, Team SISD, but we are not feeling the we with our lower salaries. If you want us to keep Team SISD strong and the district needs to pay experienced transportation employees more so that we can really feel like we're part of the team. I also wanted to express that we have a coworker that he was fighting to get his experience pay, and it took him 5 years, and they finally were able to raise his pay to which he was kind of to meet where he's supposed to be at, and not even then has it been met. And I hope it doesn't take 5 years for you all to listen to our voices, because I think our voices do matter. You know, I see that you guys made these nice T-shirts, and you guys made them, right away, and it's nice, but we feel that we're being left behind, and I hope you guys take us into consideration that we are part of your team. We are, what make transportation strong, because we're the ones that are out there every single day, every morning till nighttime, to take our students back and forth from school, from basketball, football, whatever sport it may be. So with that being said, I want to say thank you for taking the time to listen to us, and I hope you guys really respond with an answer back with us, because we hadn't heard anything since October. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dr. Catherine Kirkland.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Catherine Kirkland. 3 of my 5 children attend James P. Butler Elementary. I am here today to address the safety issues at student entry and release times. Since February of 2021, there have been requests by several parents, including myself, to have more crossing guards outside of the school. Let me tell you just one personal experience I have with issues with entry and release times. When I walk with my 2 youngest children in a stroller to pick up my son who is in kindergarten, the school zone lights are not flashing. There is nothing indicating to cars driving that they are required to slow down in the area. While there is a marked crosswalk in front of the school, I have had to stop using it to avoid being hit by a vehicle. That crosswalk has cars parked right up against it. There's been no crossing guard, and with no flashing lights, I have to walk partway into the intersection to peek my head around, leaving my stroller behind, peek my head around a line of parked cars all the way down the street to see if there is a moving vehicle that may hit me going 35 miles an hour if I come out from behind these parked vehicles with my 2 children. How can we not believe that this situation would be dangerous for a child trying to decide when to cross on their own? It is inappropriate to communicate to parents that a child was at fault for getting struck by a vehicle when no crossing guard was present. Students, especially in elementary, do not have the experience of being a driver and anticipating when they might be in a position that would not be seen by a vehicle. They assume if they see the car sees them. As adults and drivers, we know this is not always the case. This is why crossing guards are critical for safety. School-sponsored after-school activities need to provide a safe way home for students. Where I grew up, we had a late bus that was available to get kids home from after-school activities. I recognize there are hardly any, if any, Butler students who would qualify for a bus, but the responsibility of providing a safe way home from home and off of campus does not change. Children staying after school for tutoring and other school-sponsored activities should be afforded the same safety options as those who leave at regular dismissal. School zone flashers should be on, and a crossing guard should be provided. COVID staffing shortages have been cited as the reason for not having crossing guards. This is not an acceptable excuse. Previously, staffing shortages have been attributed to COVID quarantines. The quarantine could have been shortened to 5 days, though you have chosen not to do so. When I inquired about this, the district blamed the governor's ban on mask mandates as to why they could not use a shorter quarantine. However, EPISD has shortened their quarantine. When I inquired about this discrepancy, since we reside in the same state, my communication was ignored. If the reason is not COVID quarantines, but perhaps that crossing guards are not applying or staying because the pay is not high enough, then you need to raise the pay. This is an essential role for any school. As a district where, quote, safety is our #1 priority, you need to put your money where your mouth is. Since the district was able to choose to pay $629,000 to a superintendent who resigned, citing a lack of funding for safety has no real credibility. It is obvious that the district has priorities set on trying to keep people safe from COVID. The noise from COVID has overshadowed any other issues that arise at schools that provide real and imminent danger to the students. The campus administrators are overwhelmed, and it is time for the district to step in with the support that they need. Thank you.
Dr. Carmona, I know that things like the flashing lights, we try and coordinate with the city because we don't control those, the city does, and unfortunately their response isn't always tailored to us, but can we make sure that all the other precautions that we're supposed to have in place, especially the enforcement, the parking around the crosswalk really concerns me because it does block visibility, but can we make sure that all those are being enforced? Thank you.
That concludes our speakers for the evening. We're going to go ahead and move to item 7, district reports. We have our special ed bilingual certification presentation. Our presenter is Ms. Lucia Borrego.
President Morales, Interim Superintendent Carmona, members of the board, thank you so much for having us here today. I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to present to you today. I think that this is much overdue. I want to say a great big thank you to each and every one of you on the board for your support and your wanting to learn more about what we're going to present about today. And I want to say a special thank you to board member Mr. Barrera and board member Ms. Nájera that serve on the CNI, and they've seen this presentation, so they get to see it again, for your support and then your willingness to help us with the legislature on this. So thank you very much to both of you for that committee. I also want to say a great big thank you to our association, AFT. They've reached out to Mary Gonzalez, and she's reached out to us. And they're going to go because it is a big problem, and our teachers are the most valuable resource that we have in the classroom, and there's a shortage of them. We know that, number one. Number two, my team, my amazing team, Ms. Reyes, who's the Director of Bilingual Education, and Ms. Jansen, who's the Director of Special Education, and Ms. Herrera, who's in the HR department, because this is a joint effort. They're going to do the presentation today. But I do want to say, and for the record, that not one single teacher in Socorro ISD has lost their job. I want to put that to bed. Not one teacher in this district has lost their job because of this. We have tried diligently and succeeded. It might not always be the position that the teacher wants, but they have been able to keep their job, and we're constantly working at making sure that we're bettering our systems and being reflective. And we've learned a lot, as we told you in CNI, from this process. And we've been very reflective because we want to be transparent with this. So I think that it's going to be very eye-opening, the presentation that we have today. I do want to, as we start the presentation, this is a bilingual mandate. It's not a special ed. This is, the state is mandating that these teachers that serve bilingual kids be certified bilingual. So it doesn't matter whether you serve special ed kids, GT kids, any kind of kids. If they are coded as bilingual, that's where the state is mandating that they have that certification. And I think Ms. Reyes has done an excellent job putting it together to explain it to you tonight, and then we'll entertain any questions. So with that being said, I'd like to welcome Ms. Reyes to the podium.
Good afternoon, President Morales, Interim Superintendent Ms. Carmona, and members of the board. My name is Veronica Reyes. I'm the Director of Bilingual Education, and I will present to you our presentation on SPED bilingual certification requirements. So Chapter 29 of the Texas Education Code requires that districts identify and serve English learners through a bilingual or ESL program. Students that participate in a bilingual or ESL program need to be served through an appropriately certified teacher. A bilingual student needs to be served through a bilingual certified teacher for core content subjects. And an ESL student, a student learning English as a second language, need to be served by an ESL certified teacher for ELAR only, for ELAR instruction only. So districts that are not able to provide the appropriate certification must request from the Commissioner of Education an exemption for the bilingual and/or ESL program and approval to offer an alternative language program that is only good for one school year. We usually file the applications no later than November 1st. For this school year, we did file our waiver and exception on November 1st, 2021. So I want to explain a little bit on the bilingual and ESL program because sometimes there can be a little bit of confusion. For the bilingual program, as per Texas Administrative Code Chapter 89, school districts are required to provide a bilingual program in grades pre-K through 5th grade if they have 20 or more students identified as emergent bilingual students with the same language background and in the same grade level district-wide. Okay, so all we need is 20 students, same language across the grade level district-wide. And this will include charters and districts of innovation. If the district is not required to offer a bilingual education program but have any English learners in the district shall offer an English as a second language program as per Texas Education Code Chapter 89. So we have students that don't necessarily speak Spanish, but they're still supposed to be served. And they can speak Vietnamese, Mandarin, other languages, but we don't necessarily have the 20 across the grade level. That's why we have to offer an English as a second language program. The bilingual program requires for bilingual emergent students to be served in all core content areas, which means math, science, social studies, reading, and writing, by a certified teacher at the appropriate grade level and content area and in bilingual education. For the ESL program, our district provides an ESL program pullout, both at the elementary and secondary level. So for students that are at the elementary level, but they don't necessarily speak Spanish, we offer an ESL program. And then for our ESL students at the secondary level, it's an ESL pullout as well. Students are required to be served through the ELAR component, which is reading and writing, by an ESL certified teacher in English language and arts and reading. I want to let you know that you have the next handouts in the handbook, so you have a clear vision. It is quite small. And the first thing that I want to emphasize is at the very top on that first page, on those handouts, it says, is our district, including charters and districts of innovation, required to provide a bilingual education program? Okay, and this is where they talk about the 20 students at the same grade level with the same language background and the process that we need to take. On this presentation, the first column, or on this slide, the first column talks about classroom type, okay? And they identify a classroom type as self-contained or departmentalized. When we're talking about a self-contained classroom, we're talking about one teacher teaching all core content areas, okay? We see that a lot of in the elementary because it is hard to get certifications when we departmentalize. When we departmentalize, it means we have more than one teacher teaching the same students. So they kind of, rotate among, they may have one teacher for math, one teacher for science, one teacher for social studies, and another one for English. The second column talks about teacher certifications. Okay, so depending on the classroom type, I'm going to need certain teacher certifications. And then the third column talks about bilingual exceptions needed. Do I need to file a waiver for this teacher or for this class because a teacher may not necessarily meet the certification requirements? So when I'm looking at the self-contained classroom, this is one teacher providing instruction in all core content areas. In order for me to not have to file a waiver, the teacher needs to be certified in the core content area at the same grade level and have that bilingual certification. At that point, I meet the requirement because I'm serving the students in all core content, math, science, social studies, ELAR, and the teacher has the grade level as well as the content and the bilingual certification. However, there may be instances that even if a teacher is ESL certified or if the student is receiving additional service through the ELAR component, because the bilingual program requires all core content areas, I wouldn't be able to meet the need and I would have to file a waiver. So ESL certifications in this, in this program will not be sufficient, or them receiving additional instruction, even though the teacher may be certified in ESL, just on the ELAR component, because I need to serve all four. When we're looking at departmentalized, the only time when I wouldn't need to file a waiver is if all teachers, both or all teachers, meet the certification requirement for content and grade level, and they have a bilingual education certification. So again, if I'm rotating students and my ELAR teacher is ESL certified, I wouldn't meet the requirements because I'm not serving them in the rest of the content areas. I'm just serving them in the ELAR component. For ESL, it's a little bit different. With ESL students, we only serve through the ELAR instruction. So when I'm looking at the classroom type, if it's a self-contained classroom, the teacher needs to be certified grade content area as well as grade level and in ESL. But I can also meet that requirement. Let's say I have a student who is sitting with a monolingual teacher, not certified, but I'm pulling them for ELAR instruction, or that teacher for English language arts is certified ESL. We would be okay and we wouldn't need to file a waiver because for ESL, we only serve them through English language arts. Okay, for departmentalized, if all teachers are certified in both content or grade level and in ESL, we're good. No waiver needed to be filed, but I can also meet that requirement if I am serving the student through an additional ELAR component with a teacher that's certified through an additional class, or even if just my ELAR teacher is ESL certified, because it is different for them. This is secondary, pretty much the same. So our bilingual exception ESL waiver, when is it filed? It's filed when teachers serving English learners do not hold the appropriate certification, either bilingual or ESL. We have to submit the waiver on a yearly basis if it is needed, and something just to make note of, teachers can only be on the waiver or exception once.
Good evening, President Morales, members of the board, Interim Superintendent Dr. Carmona. The impact that this has on our special education, it comes down to when our teacher is the teacher of record, and that will happen when you have units, specialized units where students are in a self-contained unit, and so the teacher will be required to have a special education certification as well as that bilingual certification to serve those students in all four content areas. For the elementary specialized support, they are also the teacher of record. In this case is where the students are being pulled down into a smaller setting with just the special ed teacher. It is in a co-teach setting, and so what they're doing is they're serving the students in all four content areas, and they will be required to have the special education certification as well as the core subject EC through 4 or core subject EC through 6. They will also be required to have a bilingual certification in this instance. If they're a co-teach teacher, they are providing direct services to our students, but they are not the teacher of record. They're serving in conjunction with another teacher, and in that case, they only require the special education certification. For the secondary, it works the same way. The only difference is in this case, you're looking only in the area of ELAR, English Language Arts, and what you're looking for is for an ESL certification required for any teacher that teaches students English or language arts. for the secondary unit. So if you have a teacher who is in a PASS unit, SLU unit, where it's self-contained, they're required to have the ASL certification along with their special education certification. For the secondary specialized support, again, they're the teacher of record, and they are required to have the special education certification. ELAR certification is required as well, and they need to have the ESL certification. If they're a co-teacher, again, they're working with another teacher, and so they need their special ed education certification. And it is preferred that they know the content, that they have the content certification. Thank you.
Before we get to the questions part, what I do want to share with all of you, because I think that transparency and us working together as a team is what's going to help us, right? And so one of the things that I want to say that the bilingual department has done a great job in putting something together on Saturday, like tutoring sessions. We don't get what the test is because the test is given by somebody else, right? So we try to gather as much information. When I say we talk about the bilingual department because they're excellent, and they've put together as much material as they possibly can, and they've held Saturdays where we bring teachers in to help them with tutoring, to help them with the test. Is that enough? It's not, but it's a start. We also have met with several teachers to hear their voice, and we're open to making the process better. I shared in CNI with Mr. Barrera and Mrs. Nájera about, we learned a very valuable lesson like 3 weeks ago where they had said that the letter that went out from HR sounded very harsh. And so we were very open to that, and we said, you know what, we need to change that letter because, well, we're very proud that not one teacher has lost their job. It's scary to get a letter like that, and we need our teachers. More than ever, we need our teachers. And so we've changed that process. I've worked very closely with Mr. Redlinger in HR, and Ms. Herrera, and the team has worked very closely to make sure that that letter is changed, and that we're open to listening to suggestions. The thing that and it's frustrating. It is frustrating because we have amazing special ed teachers that are in these units, and they're not certified, and they're serving students, and so we have to move them somewhere else, and they're good at what they do, and that's where we need your help, and I know there's some grassroots meeting coming up where Mr. Barrera and Mrs. Nájera, but everybody can help us with that, and it's going to the legislature and saying there's got to be some exemptions because our hands are tied when it comes to special ed, and that's one of our most vulnerable populations with our kids. And so really the only ones that don't have to be bilingual certified are the co-teachers, right? So, but the other ones do, and it's not fair to our kids because so many of those special ed kiddos, and they need a teacher that's passionate about that. And they're not bilingual certified, so we have to move them. That just doesn't make sense. So we're also here not just to present what we're doing and what we do, but to also ask for your help as we advocate. I do also want to tell you that Region 19 finally has put together a training. Is that correct, Ms. Reyes? Oh, you're over here. Has put together a training finally as a region to help bilingual teachers. They've gotten more help from the state so that teachers are more successful in being able to pass the ESL test and the bilingual test. So with that being said, I've got the team here, and we're happy to entertain any questions that you might have tonight.
President Morales, I got some questions.
Go ahead, Mr. Barrera, go ahead.
Ms. Borrego, I know you said that, and I just want to thank all those teachers, especially the bilingual and SPED teachers, because I know it's a very challenging, to try to get them both double certified. So thank you for those teachers stepping up to the plate. You mentioned that they haven't lost their job yet. My question to you is, do you foresee that they cannot get renewed their contract come next school year? Is that going to be an issue? Or
No,
more than
sir.
likely, they should have their job?
Yes, sir. That is not an option for us. We will find a place for them because they're certified teachers. They're our family. They're part of Socorro ISD. It might not be, like I told you in CNI, it might not be their favorite placement in the whole wide world, but something that we also, and being very transparent, as we talked to teachers and they came and told us how they were feeling, we're going to do a much better job. I've talked to Mr. Redlinger and Ms. Herrera, is where we're going to give them some more options, where they're not going to have to go like interview and go through, where we don't go from like, let's say 8th grade special ed and then we put them in kindergarten, because that's a shock. That's a shock for a lot of people. The only way that would ever happen if that was the only job that was open and we didn't want them to be without a job, and then we would try to adjust, but we're going to do everything humanly possible. Yes, sir, absolutely.
So they would have priority?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're gonna work on that for sure.
So then, my next question to that is, if we're having to remove that certified teacher from our identified students, who's servicing those kids? In
It
the
depends.
units? In the units?
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes it could be a substitute. It absolutely can, and they're right, it could be a substitute because the state allows that. That's why we need your help. It could be a substitute. It can be a teacher that has that certification that we found from another campus that we try to place there. Am I missing anything, Ms. Jensen? People within the campus, but what, Herrera, do you want to share on that? Did I skip? Oh, okay. So you're right. It is, and that is absolutely correct. We take out that teacher that is amazing with those kids, but the state says they're not certified, and they can't be in there. So yeah, sometimes the alternative is a substitute teacher. Yes,
So
sir.
the state isn't even willing to budge with us to say, hey, you know what? We have a certified SPED teacher. Let's leave that certified SPED teacher in there instead of a substitute who is not even certified.
So I'm so glad you asked that question. The state says that, yes, they do budge for a whole year. You can apply a waiver for a whole year. You have a whole year, let's say, Mr. Barrera, that you're the SLU. So they say, we're giving you a whole year to pass that test. Do I think that's enough? No, but I'm not in charge of that, unfortunately, at the state. But if I was in charge of that, it's something that we need to advocate for, and I think that's why this grassroots meeting is so incredibly important. The work that Mary Gonzalez is doing, people that go and advocate, because it must be changed, absolutely, and I will be right there advocating for that as well.
Because when I read it online, it said, it didn't specify, I know you guys have it up there, but it didn't specify it was only for 1 year. You can only ask for it once, unless I read something different, but.
No, what we do is when we meet with our, when we have our monthly meetings with TA, they have specified that the waiver is only good for 1 year. One of the things that we do have to, when we submit the waiver, we do have to designate the date within that school year when the teacher will become certified. So the goal is for them to be certified within that one school year, sir.
Now, I guess, this isn't my frustration with you guys, this is, I guess, more with the state.
Yes.
I mean, yes, 1 year is not realistic in my opinion, as it is, we're already struggling to have teachers. I mean, we're struggling to have bilingual teachers, we're struggling to have SPED teachers, and let alone they want to make it where we have to have a SPED teacher who's also certified in bilingual, which makes it even that much more complicated and difficult to accomplish that task. I mean, when you guys spoke with TA, what was the consensus on that? Were they willing to even budget? Was there even a consideration in their voice, anything like that?
No, it is. It comes from the legislators. They make the laws, and we have to have all the repercussions, especially our teachers and our kids. That's why, again, I go back to, I'm so grateful that you're gonna help and advocate for us, because more voices that are heard, the more that we can do to change it, because there's nothing in our power that we could do. And I could promise you this, that when Ms. Reyes first came to me with this, I was like, what? There's no way. And I was like you, show me in writing, email. show me where it says on the TA webpage. We got our attorney involved in it. There was so many, but there's no way around it. It's a certification.
Now, I know you said specialized support. When I think I referred to the Q&A that was on the TA website, it specified resource, but specialized support is the same thing as resource?
Yes, they change the names all the time. It's kind of like, I never know if it's an ESL student anymore or LEP student. They change the acronyms, but yes, sir, it's what it used to be when I was a principal. It was resource. Now it's called, what is it called? See, I forget. Specialized support.
So when I was reading the Q&A, it stated that they didn't have to be both bilingual and SPED. On that,
if they're the
on that
teacher of
Q&A.
record in specialized support, because they're pulling them out of the classroom, so they become the teacher of record because they are teaching them either math, science, reading. Which one did I miss? Social studies.
I know on the flow chart it did indicate that, but when you go to the Q&A, it stated something different. So there was, and that's within TEA.
On question number 6, and what I shared earlier in CNI was it also has to do with the contact hours of our students. We don't want to take the authority of an ARD committee to determine the need of a student. And so the way the question 6 is stated is that they can be pulled out for resource by a teacher who doesn't have the certification for a certain amount, but that also it can't be a blanket statement for all students. It may be on an individual basis, but it won't work for every student that has resource or specialized support.
So that's where we run into the problem, and I know you're very aware of this, Mr. Barrera, because IEPs, they're individualized. That's what the I stands for, and so that's what also is huge. So take that, please, when you go and talk and say, come on, we can't have a one-size-fits-all especially with our kids with special needs.
Okay. Because I know I went to where I spoke with some teachers, and I know one of them that I spoke with she was certified in both bilingual and SPED, and she was having to teach second, third, fourth, and fifth all by herself because she was the only one that was certified on that campus.
And
I found that very challenging and overwhelming for that teacher. And I mean, kudos to that teacher that she stepped up to the plate and she's doing everything she can. But I mean, I think it's unfair to her.
And it does
and
happen.
to the kids, because it's not they're not getting that quality education and support that they need.
Absolutely, and it does happen, and it goes with contact hours. We try to get the same amount of contact hours for a teacher. Are you saying probably, I don't know for a fact because I don't know, that's something that we're going to work on for sure. The HR team and myself, that's something that we have that we're going to work on. Another thing that we're also going to work on is that elementary principals have never really had a master schedule per se, and we're going to do a training with them that includes all of us so that we're able at least to open some more spots. But El Paso has, many of our kids are identified, well, it's not LEP anymore, see, EL, is it EL? Emergent bilingual now. See, last month it was EL. Now it's emergent bilingual. So we run into that problem because they're sprinkled everywhere, and so it's hard. It's hard not to have just a solid monolingual, let's say, third grade class. It's almost unheard of. Can it happen? Yeah, and then you start looking at class sizes and you start looking at FTEs.
Okay, and for everybody else, I guess those that don't know, can you just elaborate, I guess, because we're a transitional district when it comes to the bilingual aspect of it, so can you elaborate as far as when that window of transition is supposed to happen?
Yes, sir. So I'm going to let the bilingual expert, because I don't want to chop it up here, so I'll let the bilingual expert tell you that.
So a bilingual early exit program basically means that students are, allowed to be there at least 2 years, but no later than 5. It is the purpose of the program is for them to become proficient in English. Okay, it's not for them to become biliterate, which is the difference between the dual language program. So students can start exiting once they've been provided, or in the program for at least 2 years, not earlier than second grade. So I mean, at the end of first grade, we can start reclassifying them. There is a special exit criteria for students that have cognitive disabilities that are so severe that may not be able to take a regular TELPAS. And we do work with both the ARD committee together with the LPAC. We do work together to establish that criteria early within the year. So our deadline this year was December 17th, and their proficiency level descriptors are totally different. When you talk about regular TELPAS, you're looking at intermediate, beginning, advanced, high. With TELPAS Alt, it's very different. We're looking at behaviors, observable behaviors. So there is a special test for our severely cognitive disabled students that they can take.
Okay. And then I guess I'll just leave it off with this. Have we reached out to UTEP? I know we already have that relationship with them, but is there a way to reach out to UTEP and say, hey, can you, those teachers that are getting certified in SPED, can you also push them to get double certified in the bilingual aspect of it?
Yes, our relationship with UTEP has helped us tremendously. Dr. Tanambi, who's the dean of the College of Education, and Dr. Mean, who's the associate dean, they're constantly reaching out to us, and they're like, what? That changed? They are now, as they're leaving UTEP, their degree plan is now we just had a meeting, I think, last week. Their degree plan now is, okay, if you're special ed, you got to have this bilingual certification. Now, we've talked about the reverse, bilingual teachers getting SPED certified. So that's going to be the big next sell with the students and really recruiting students. And that's why our residency program is so important. And I could talk about that forever, as you all know. But it's so important to have that relationship because teachers, student teachers, residents, they want to come to Socorro ISD. And UTEP wants to send us their very best. So they are. The short answer is yes, sir. We have a great relationship with them and we work on it.
Okay, so now I guess for the current employees, like, is there a way, I guess, those that are grandfathered in, so to speak, I guess that's the word I'll use. And I guess I'm going to revert this to President Morales. Can we develop some type of initiative with those SPED teachers that want to get bilingual? And I thank you and I applaud you guys ladies for giving that Saturday school. But is there something that we can do a little bit more and give them more dedication, even if it's bringing them into the DSC, for a month at a time, and that's all their focus is just so that they can get certified in bilingual. So, Mr. Morales.
And we're doing that. Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Barrera. We're doing that already. As a matter of fact, we just had a cohort of special ed teachers that just took the test this last week that were here for 2 full days of training, intense. I went in personally, waited for them to come out the door so it wasn't in front of Ms. Reyes or the trainers, and I said, how was it? And they were like, oh my gosh, this was good. But we also have them do a survey, and we want to make sure that we're meeting their needs the best we can. We don't know what the test looks like. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that training with the special ed teachers? But we are doing that just with special ed teachers.
So what we did, it's a 3-day PSYOP training. Yes, and basically because we do have to designate an alternative language program, we do need to provide them strategies. We designated, that we were going to use our PSYOP model, which is sheltered instructional observation protocol. And they came in for training. It is best strategies that will work with any struggling student, not just necessarily ELs. And they are going through a 3-day training for that. Something else the training that we currently have, it is coming from Region 19. It is a half-day training. The difference between the training that Region 19 provided and the one that we provide is that Region 19 is a full-day training. But the reason why we said we don't want a full-day training, we rather have a half-day training, is because Region 19 went through every single question with us. And then what do the teachers have to take home and practice, right? Because they have audio, they have scripts that they can go back and work. Currently, TA is working on a website. They currently have ESL online course modules that they also get credit, for professional hours. Our teachers do that. And so they have that for ESL. What they're currently working on is a bilingual online course as well to give us a little bit better, guidance, insight, and practice for them. So that's what we have right now. We do provide them with that SIOP, 3-day SIOP for best strategies with a Saturday training. And once the website is up, we will notify human resources so they can share that link with their principal. I'll share it with the principals. They'll share it with the teachers.
Okay.
And just to add also, one of our initiatives for this summer, not just with this, but with several through the academics department, is we're gonna provide a lot of training this summer in various, it's gonna be like a menu. The teachers could pick, oh, I need to get certified, so I wanna go to this, and they're gonna get paid to go to the training. And they're gonna get their hours to be able to go for their certification. So, and that matters to teachers because they're gonna spend a couple of days of their very short summer with us learning, and they're gonna be compensated for it.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, I guess I'll add to that. Just 3 days, I guess, for those that aren't very proficient in, let's say we're doing Spanish, I guess I just want to give them enough opportunity, whether it's, like I said, maybe once a week and it's for 6 months or something, but something that we can look at so that we don't lose those teachers to anybody else. I mean, teachers are already a special breed, but, when they do special education, it's even more special. At least for me, it is. And so I would hate to see any good qualified teacher leave our district just because of that.
Yeah, and I understand that, and we'll definitely look at it. But I will tell you that you're going to have to argue with those special ed teachers because they don't want to leave their classrooms. They don't want to leave the kids. They're like, can you do it? We actually did a lot on Saturdays because they don't want to leave the classroom. That's how dedicated they are. That's why this is so important to keep them in those classrooms. But yes, sir, we'll definitely look into that.
We will as well.
I'm good.
Go ahead, sir. Mr. Castellano.
Right now, elementary, the units, how short are we right now in teachers?
I don't know. But I'll get you the other expert right here.
Good evening, everyone. So right now in special education, we have 22 vacancies. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are all units. Units we have probably, or approximately 5 or 6 of them that are actual units. The other ones have to do with specialized support where they are.
That's what I was going to ask, if you can separate and how many are we missing in specialized support?
In specialized support, right here, I have about 18.
18?
About 18, something like that.
And how many in the units?
Units, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 units.
4. And that's now?
That's currently, sir. And that's also, this doesn't take into account any recommendations, any sort of, I guess, interviews that are happening at the moment.
And how many do you anticipate before the end of the school year that you're just going to have to eliminate the position because they don't have the bilingual position or the certification, I'm sorry?
Well, we're hoping that we don't eliminate any of them because we're hoping that most of them get certified. And there have been coming in, the certifications have been. But one thing that we are doing with principals, and this is from before, that we get creative with their scheduling. And of course, that to make sure that any teacher that does not have the bilingual certification is only serving students that are monolingual. But then that kind of overloads the special education teacher who does have the bilingual certification. So that's why we're we are requesting for them to also help us out in that sense and go get certified so that it doesn't overload just one teacher.
And to answer your question, Mr. Castellano, just so that you know, normally we see the influx back and forth in the fall and in the spring. So to anticipate is kind of hard because we also have vacancies. Well, the whole country has vacancies in teaching positions. But right now, it'll stay steady. It'll stay steady until the end of the year and when we start the summer hiring for next year.
Now, how many students does this affect right now? How many students are being hurt by not having?
Well, you take those classrooms and very minimum, multiply by 20, 22, depending, all class sizes are different. That's hard to.
I don't know how many you have in special education.
Ballpark figure.
Yeah, the units are about 10 to 12 students. Specialized support can be, it just depends. It's just so different for each one. If it's a co-teach, it could be 22, but they don't have to be certified. We could get you that. We could
Yes,
get
please.
you a close enough number as we possibly can.
The testing that you've, or the training that you're having for the teachers right now, how many are participating in that?
I'm sorry. They were telling me about the numbers. I apologize. Could you repeat that, sir?
How many teachers are participating in this testing training program for the bilingual certification?
It varies.
It varies. We do offer it once a month, every Saturday. Sometimes we have a turnout of 12. There's been times that I've had a turnout of 2. So it really just depends. Not all of them come to the trainings. Some we do, get, notifications through their principals that they became certified without necessarily attending a training.
Okay, also, you have 22 vacancies now. How many people are still required to get this certification that are currently working in their position?
We get that count at the end of the year to see how many became certified.
No, how many are currently working right now that need the certification, that got the letter that they're gonna be fired in March or displaced or whatever?
So they didn't get a letter.
Well, I know.
Come on, Mr.
I read the
Castillo,
letter.
They
It
didn't get a letter
wasn't
that they were gonna be fired.
It wasn't pretty,
So
but
I submitted a waiver for 29
29.
bilingual teachers and 14 ESL teachers.
realistically, how many do you think are gonna pass that bilingual?
We have a good.
I mean, I know the test, and it's not an easy test to take. It's one of probably the toughest ones because it's true Spanish. It's not.
Yes. So the bilingual it's very different than the ESL because it is a 2-part test. One is a lot of theory, and one is Spanish. So approximately 17 will pass. That's what we've seen other years.
17.
Mm-hmm.
But this year it's gonna be 18. Hopefully. We have to wish for a little
Yeah.
more.
What's the contingency plan? This is well over 30 vacancies you can look at possibly. The disservice is the children.
Absolutely.
And I am on board with meeting with the state reps to get this changed or get something put in place to address this issue. It's wrong that these children will suffer because at the moment, they are not getting the full sped support that they need.
Yes, sir. And so the plan is we continue doing the work. We continue helping these teachers to be successful. We continue working with UTEP. But the law is the law. And so where the big plan right now is to do a lot of lobbying. I know there's a grassroots meeting. I know there's going to be a lot of, this summer, a lot of dialogue with our legislators and having everybody put their energy into the lawmakers that make these laws and then don't help us. They don't see what they're doing to our kids.
And the worst case scenario for you guys, how do we address this? I mean,
I think this is, we keep plugging along, sir. I think we're already in the worst case scenario where we're having teachers that aren't certified. For us, it's very important that our teachers have a job, continue having a job and serving kids. The second thing is to help them be successful and then continue to lobby to have this changed or at least modified. I could see the good in it in some aspects, and I could also see how it's very wrong, especially the special ed component of it. Because we also have a responsibility to our kids who are limited English proficient, but they took it to like the 100th degree. So I think finding a middle ground, and that's going to come from the legislature and them changing that for us.
And on the bilingual part, and I've heard that we are asking parents to pull their kids out of the bilingual program.
Oh, we better not.
And can you look into that?
Yeah, we
Okay.
will. They and I feel very blessed as the chief academic officer. The directors that I work for I work for them. That was a Freudian
Yes.
slip, but I do work for them. They are very much about compliance. I check everything. They better not be being asked to be pulled out of the bilingual program because that is unacceptable.
Okay, well, they would have been signed already if they are, so if you can look
Yeah,
into that.
and some
for-
parents do it on their own. I
Well,
mean,
I understand this is all uphill battle on this, and I think we should have addressed this a little earlier, this training especially for the teachers.
we've been doing it, sir.
It's- I
We've
mean-
been doing it for a lot of years.
Yeah.
So we've been doing it for quite a few years. But I agree with you. I mean, there's always room for us to keep looking at what we can do better to serve. You know, like I said, we didn't start this a year ago.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for a while, and we'll continue to serve. And we're open to suggestions. Anybody wants to come and say, hey, I have an idea on this, as long as it's legal. We're open to it. If it's gonna,
Yes.
because I do not look good in stripes or orange or blue. None of those. I don't know which one it would be. And can you imagine me in a 4x4? That just wouldn't work, sir.
Okay, and one last thing, can you give us an update next board meeting on where our progress is on this? It's very important. As it is, we're already falling behind on these children, because they don't have the SPED teachers there in the units or the specialized support. We're already short, and we need to know, keep us updated.
Absolutely.
Monthly,
Would you
just
like
plan a
that
monthly
on
thing, because we need to make sure that we're there to catch this.
Absolutely. Would you like that in the board packet or maybe CNI? And I think we can have visiting board members at CNI. I'm not sure. No? Oh, it could only be.
They can, but they can't participate.
Oh, they can't participate. I got
Only
it. Got
three
it.
are
Okay.
permitted.
I'll take
3 board members.
direction. Whatever.
Okay. We'll see how it goes. We'll probably have it next month on the next board meeting.
Absolutely. And
That's something
please
quick
feel
and
free to
simple,
call me
where we
also.
just needed to get up to speed on where we're at now.
Yes, sir. Oh, absolutely. And
Yes.
you know, feel free to call me too, and we'll be happy to share. And I know these ladies will be happy to sit with you as well.
Okay, thank you.
I got one more thing. TA wasn't willing to be flexible due to the COVID, because I know that was part of the issue. Some of the teachers were trying to do
I
the
think they
testing, stuff
were
like that.
1 year. I think they were 1 year, so we were able to help for 1 year. So
Okay.
they did. They did.
So they gave us some leniency on trying to get.
On those that were on right when the pandemic came, they gave them another year. Yes, sir. So the ones that were on that waiver, right? Am I saying that correctly? They got lucky. Yes, they got an extra year. I don't know if the pandemic is lucky, but they did. They got to go another year. Yes, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen. These are legitimate concerns, and we hope that we can get some of these ironed out in the months to come.
Absolutely.
And also, too, that it's going to benefit our students at all cost.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good. Item 7B, facility report. A presentation of the 2017 bond program and other construction projects will be provided for the Board of Trustees. Our presenters, Mr. Tom Ianton.
Good evening, President Morales, Interim Superintendent Dr. Kimona, members of the board. My facility report will begin on page 32 of your booklet. We'll start off with Socorro High School, and we are over 71% complete on Socorro High School. And this project is moving rapidly. We're doing a lot of finish work, interior work on the second phase, and we are actually going to be moving into the pit a little bit earlier, a couple of weeks earlier. I think if you recall back some months ago, we gave you a timeline that we would keep the pit open and then move into it in March of '22. And we are in the process of moving into the pit to start the work in there. I'll start off with this view. If you can see, it's an aerial view of phase 2. And if you look up in the, I guess in the left-hand corner, you see the square area with no roof on it. That is actually the auxiliary gym under construction. And then you can see the 2-story construction of the early college high school and the HPA program. And then kind of in the center of the picture, you can see a cylinder, a round shape, which will be the new main entrance to Socorro High School. And then you can see to the right the fine arts addition and how it ties into the existing building. You can see that we are doing a lot of interior finish out. It's moving along, flooring, the ceramic tile in the corridors, and the ceilings are being dropped, and lighting is continuing. And then here you can see that we've got structural steel in the, as you saw in the aerial, the addition of the second floor area and the main entrance area that is being added. Here is some work on the CMU and some additional work in the patient care lab area, which is in the HPA area. Some of the additional structural steel going up in the early college high school and in the dental lab areas on the second floor. Moving into Montwood High School, we are in the mid-90s complete in there. We're actually complete. We've received most of our TCO. We are working on the parking lot with the architect and the contractor to get the parking lot as the board approved some months ago to work on. We've got a sketch and we are reviewing that with administration to get that in the works and then start working on one of the parking lots at one time and not necessarily taking out both of the parking lots at the same time. America's High School, we're in the mid-90s completion of that. We have received pretty much all of our TCOs on the culinary art, the dressing area, the fine arts, and the kitchen areas. So we are moving to complete that, and I think we have some, you can see that we have finished product in these prop areas, shop areas, the culinary art and the dining area, and the culinary kitchen. And then our book room and then our drama rooms are being completed or are complete. And you can see that the dressing rooms are also complete. Our next project is El Dorado High School. We are working on that. We're on schedule to complete that this summer. And we've been doing a lot of work on the exterior as far as the landscaping goes, and a lot of the work being finished on the interior also. All of these projects are roughly about the same percentage of completion. So they're all going to be coming completion to fruition here probably by this summer. You can see that we've got the biomedical classrooms on the second floor, the new dance room, the new gallery wing, the new teacher's workroom and restroom facilities in that area, and the new architectural room. Our next project is the student activity complex. Just got word that we've got our grading permit, so we are going to start moving some dirt, and this is, of course, what it's going to eventually look like in a couple of years. And this is what I presented in the facility committee. This shows the overall layout of the SAC with the existing SAC in the reddish area and the new SAC number 2 being built to the right of that. and then how we're going to take that area. We are going to be taking some of the parking lots, and it's going to be phased, but we're going to be predominantly working on the east side of the SAC, behind the visitor concession area, because that's where the new SAC is going to be built. This area basically shows, and I know it's a little small to read, but the areas in the different colors are when we're going to be taking those areas over. The big circular area is the existing SAC, and then the blue area is the new SAC. We will be taking the green area and predominantly most of the purple, of course the blue area of the new construction, and in the green area in order to start our construction on that. We are working with public relations. We do have our mobilization started. You can see that they have a construction trailer set behind, excuse me, behind the concession, the visitor concession. Excuse me. The auxiliary gyms are, bid package 1 is complete. We have closed that out. It is in the warranty stages. And looking at bid package 2, it's a agenda item later in this board meeting where we'll be asking for your approval to make final payment on bid package 2 along with a deductive change order. Bid package 3, which are the remaining auxiliary gyms, are also in the finishing stages. I actually received the deductive change order late to get it on this board meeting, so I'll put it on the next board meeting to actually receive the deductive change order on bid package 3 along with the final payment and close out of bid package 3. Support services, we are finalizing everything there, and I am requesting that they start submitting their closeout document so we can actually close that project out and bring you, not hopefully, but to bring you a deductive change order on that project. Pebble Hills High School field modifications and sports lighting, that is also going to be in another agenda item a little bit later. We are closing that project out and receiving a deductive change order, and I will be presenting that under another agenda item. Eastlake High School is completed. We are working on closing that out, and hopefully in the next month or so bring a deductive change order to close that project out. And the last 2 projects are, oh no, excuse me, we got the big one. The new combo school is actually moving real well. We're over 75% complete on that project, on the entire project. If you recall, we just need the elementary school completed this June for the start of the school year in July. And you can see the aerial that everything to the right is the elementary school and everything to the left, kind of in the center of the picture, is the new middle school, Eastlake Middle School. And you can see that the elementary school is a lot of the corridors, finished work is being completed. The classrooms have got their millwork in it, and the elementary restrooms and corridors have their ceramic tiling and completed. The library is being finalized with the finishes, and the administration area is also. And then we move to the middle school, and you can see it's not too far behind as far as the elementary, as far as the finish out. But the elementary area, the middle school is not supposed to be complete. It's supposed to be complete in December for the opening of July of 2023. Some more pictures of the various labs and corridors in the East Lake Middle School. The bus canopy, we have ordered some of our structural steel and are waiting for that to come on board so we can start construction on that. So that project has started, and we are, like I stated, we have ordered, the contractor has ordered the materials, and we will get started on the maintenance facility, or the canopy for the bus canopy. The last project is the maintenance facility. I was unable to get the drawings to show you a little layout of what that's going to look like, but that essentially is the last project of the 2017 bond program, and it'll entitle that we are going to move grounds, special system, print shop, and there's another one, goodness, I forgot, locksmith, up to this location and make them centralized. And I will provide you a floor plan and a layout of that at the next meeting. That concludes my report. I'll answer any questions.
Questions to entertain? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Arrington, appreciate it. Our next item is 7C, a TASB salary study. Administration has contracted the Texas Association of School Boards to complete a study of the district's existing salaries to see if they are in line with the surrounding school districts in the state. Our presenter is Mr. Tony Rosa.
Yes, President Morales, Interim Superintendent Dr. Carmona, members of the board. I'm here tonight to inform you and the community that the Socorro Independent School District has contracted the Texas Association of School Boards, what we know as TASB, to conduct a review of the salary structure of all of our job categories, including teachers. The purpose of which is to ensure that we offer competitive wages for the same skill sets as other school districts in the area. Now, the board has heard pleas to increase pay for various trades and positions. The administration feels that by conducting this study, we look at all the job categories instead of just a few to provide a competitive wage schedule structure for all positions, as well as to prevent the compression of the salary amounts that exist between the various job categories. We hope to present the TASB recommendation to you in or about May of this year, and note that we conducted this study last on May the 5th of 2020. I have with me Mr. Tom Redlinger, our Interim Chief Human Resources Officer, and Mrs. Selena Stiles, our Director of Support Personnel, to answer any questions that you might have on this particular matter. Any questions, sir, or board members?
I have a quick question. When did this begin? You mentioned that, what was the start date when we started this inquiry to TASB?
Good evening. We did reach out to them in December for actually a reclassification. However, their recommendation was to do the salary study because of COVID and the pandemic. A lot of markets have changed, so their recommendation was to do the salary study. We do have our kickoff meeting on March 3rd.
Could you explain to me what the kickoff meeting's about? How does that?
So that will be our
affect
initial
public?
meeting with TASB to discuss the project and the information that they're going to request from us. There's a lot of data involved. They ask for organization charts, current salary, the current salary structure, current data reports of all employees. So we'll be meeting with them to explain that, and then we'll be addressing the compression issues and so forth in that meeting.
Thank you.
Morales.
Go ahead, sir.
ETA for completion of the study?
So they had us scheduled to actually start in April, but when I reached out, they said they'll go ahead and start in March. I think we're looking at possibly May, the turnaround time. That's just estimated time.
Right.
So as we we mentioned before, this is a comprehensive study. We are in need, as we talked about, we have vacancies in various job categories. It's important for us to look at all the jobs that we have in our district. And we felt it was important to do this based on their recommendation. We hope to bring it to you in May. Ordinarily, we do bring it in May for recommendations, and then we incorporate it into our budget. So as we go through the budget process, we'll be looking at that. We'll start initially with a certain percentage increase that's in our budget, with the understanding that this study is coming our way. So last year we did it, the last time we did it was in May the 5th of 2020. The cost for that particular proposal was about $7.7 million. At that time, it came out to about a 3% increase. Now, that was before COVID. That was before, COVID was happening, but it wasn't the inflationary pressures that we're going through right now. So I'm just informing the board that maybe the cost this time might be higher than we ordinarily see on these particular studies.
Further questions this time? Thank you, Mr. Ressa.
Thank you, sir.
Let's proceed to the next item. We got consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda by Mr. Nahara and a second by Mr. Castellano. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. Our next item is going to be the new business. Let me scroll, we don't have it on the screen. Consider approval of notice of separation incentive. Mr. Thomas Redlinger.
Good evening, President Morales, Interim Superintendent Dr. Carmona, and members of the board. On page 77 of your board book, administration would like to present a separation incentive in the amount of $500 to the first 75 classroom teachers, administrators, or other professional exempt staff assigned to a school site to submit a notice of voluntary separation with the district effective at the end of the 2021-2022 contract year to the Department of Human Resources on or before 5 p.m. on Thursday, March 31st, 2022. The purpose, our main focus is our students. This incentive would assist our campus administrators in their preparations in planning for our students in the upcoming school year for any professional that may be thinking to retire to let us know early. At this time, I'll be able to take any questions that you might have.
Morales?
Go ahead, Mr. Nahara.
Mr. Redlinger, if I recall correctly, this is about, I don't know, I want to say 6th, 7th, 8th year that we've done this. And it's very effective, right? Because the incentive then allows people to give us advance notice rather than waiting to the very end of the year so that we can try and recruit and retain teachers in advance. We can advertise the positions early, and that way we're not waiting to the very end and trying to recruit and fill those positions along with everybody else, and we already know that's a difficult task in the current environment right now. And it's been an effective tool for us, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, it has. As a matter of fact, I do have 3 years worth of history to share with you tonight. Last year, we had the full 75 people did submit. The year before, in 2019 and 2020, we had 63 people. And then the year before that, in 2018 and 2019, we had 75 people.
Questions, motion to approve?
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Nahara and a second, Mr. Mena. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. And I know, Mr. Redlinger, you'll be taking the next item.
Yes, sir.
Item 9B, consider approval of resolution regarding wage payments during the emergency closure due to the inclement weather. Mr. Redling.
Once
I'm
again,
sorry?
good evening, President Morales, Interim Superintendent Dr. Carmona, and members of the board. On
ahead.
page,
9B.
Agenda is different.
Yeah, it's different.
Our printed agenda says the next item is consider approval of health plan recommendations strategy.
The one I have here is that, are you looking at the same one I'm looking at? Yes.
I don't know which one was published.
You have to go on the one that was published. The one that was published has 9B. There's the resolution. Y'all might be looking at it.
Again, proceed.
once again, good evening, President Morales, Interim Superintendent Dr. Carmona, and members of the board. On page 179 of your board book, administration is wanting to present the resolution of the board regarding wage payments during the emergency closure due to inclement weather, and I'll read it to you tonight. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Socorro Independent School District is authorized by the Texas Education Code, Section 45.105, to expend funds of the Socorro Independent School District for the purposes necessary in the conduct of the public schools as determined by the board. Whereas the board acknowledges that during its emergency closure, most school employees, district employees, are instructed not to report to work, and other employees may be called upon to provide auxiliary or emergency-related services. Whereas the board finds that a need exists to address wage payments for employees who are idled and those required to work during the district's emergency closure on February the 3rd, 2022. Whereas the board determines that employees who are instructed not to report to work, but were otherwise available and scheduled to work, may suffer a loss of pay if the district is closed. Whereas the board concludes that continuing wage payments to all regular employees, contractual and non-contractual, salaried or non-salaried, who suffer a loss in pay due to an emergency closing serves the public's purposes of maintaining morale, reducing turnover, and ensuring continuity of the district staffing when schools reopen. And whereas, as to non-exempt employees who are called to work during an emergency closing, the board further concludes that payments of these employees at a premium rate as provided at DEA local serves the public purposes of maintaining morale, providing equity amongst idled employees and employees who provide auxiliary or emergency-related services, and recognizing the services of essential staff. Whereas the Socorro Independent School District declared an emergency closure of the school district and its campuses on February the 3rd, 2022 due to inclement hazard weather, to include unusual snow, ice, rain, and freezing temperatures. Whereas most employees were instructed not to work during this district's emergency closure of the school district and the campuses on February the 3rd, 2022. Whereas certain employees were called on and reported to work and provided auxiliary or emergency-related services during the district's emergency closure on February the 3rd, 2022. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this Board of Trustees of the Socorro Independent School District authorizes continued wage payments to all regular employees, contractual and non-contractual, salaried and non-salaried, who were instructed not to report to work, but were otherwise available and scheduled to work during the emergency closure on February the 3rd, 2022. Be it further resolved that non-exempt employees who are required to work during the emergency closure on February the 3rd, 2022 shall be paid at the premium rate described at DEA local. Whereas as to non-exempt employees who were called upon to work during the emergency closure on February the 3rd, 2022, the board further concludes that the payments of these employees at a premium rate
as provided in the resolution, serves the public's purposes of maintaining morale, providing equity amongst LIDLed employees and employees who provide auxiliary or emergency-related services, and recognizing the services of essential staff. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Socorro Independent School District authorizes continued wage payments to all regular employees, contractual or non-contractual, salaried and non-salaried, who were instructed not to report to work, but were otherwise available and scheduled to work during the emergency closure on February the 3rd, 2022. Be it further resolved that non-exempt employees who were required to work during the emergency closing on February the 3rd, 2022 shall be paid at the premium rate of 1/2 times their regular pay for all hours worked up to 40 hours per week. Overtime or time worked over 40 hours a week shall be calculated and paid accordingly to law. The authority granted by this resolution to continue wage payments to idled employees and to pay a premium rate for non-exempt employees who provide auxiliary or emergency-related services effective for and limited to the closure declared by the district on or for February the 3rd, 2022, unless the board takes subsequent action to authorize payments for longer duration. And at this time, I'll be able to take any questions that you might have.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir. This includes like the crossing guards and monitors that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All employees.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Michael Nahara and a second by Mr. Barrera. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Redling. Item 9C, consider approval of health plan recommendations and future strategy. Our presenter is Mr. Mario Carmona.
Good evening, Board President Morales, Interim Superintendent Dr. Carmona, members of the board. My name is Mario Carmona. I'm a director over at Human Resources, Employee Benefits, and Risk Management. This evening, I'll be going over some of the information that was shared by Mr. Randy McGraw during our board workshop on January 27th. And if I'm not mistaken, you might have a copy of the information on your screen at this point. You'll be glad to hear that I'm not going to be covering the entire presentation that was covered during the workshop, but what I am going to cover is the recommendations, and there's mainly 7 recommendations. 1, changing the calendar year from a July 1st over to a January 1st plan year. 2, the plan year on January 1st will require an additional open enrollment period, and if approved, we're anticipating that period will take place during the month of October 2022. 3, keeping benefits consistent with the current plan designs and deductions constant as well. This will help our current employees transition well into a short plan year and then have that open enrollment period in October for them to be able to make selections for the following plan year. 4, not resetting the cost sharing provisions put some additional short-term pressure on our current health plan. As you know, or as you might already know, we are self-funded when it comes to our health insurance. So allowing this recommendation to go through and move forward will mean that our current plan year, financially, it will go from a 12-month to an 18-month plan year. So just like everything else, the money will need to come from somewhere, and in this case, it will come from the school district. In addition, I missed a point on number 3. There is one plan option that has been discussed during our meetings, our workshop, and that is the high deductible health plan. That is one option that has been competing with our current base plan option. So that's something that we're going to continue monitoring for our short plan year. And then once that comes, that time around when we'll have an additional workshop to be able to make additional recommendations to either we keep that plan and or do we eliminate that plan. 5, stop loss coverage will have a short-term year. That also as well, as you might recall from the presentation in the workshop, when it comes to stop loss, we look at the high cost, and I think you see it on your screen now. And again, on number 5, stop loss coverage will have a short year from July 1st, 22 through December 31st as well. Item number 6, drop aggregate stop loss coverage. SISD currently pays $86,000, a little bit over $86,000 per year. And you might recall from Mr. McGraw's presentation, this is something that we could possibly save on, since it's not something that we necessarily need, since the estimate or the cost is based on $73 million per year. Just to provide you with some additional information in that point, on fiscal year 21, total claims paid were a little bit over 50 million, and on fiscal year 20, total claims paid were a little bit over 48 million. And lastly, you might recall that we have talked about the amount of money or funding that goes from into the health fund to infuse and reach our expenses, because at this point you might recall that no significant changes have been made to the plan or any of the options to where it'll be self-sufficient. But you know, it's a good point of reference to bring back, since that amount is significant, and at this point it's 4 million for fiscal year 2022. Now, I don't know if there's any questions, but if there's no questions,
Can you go back to the screen? The other one? There you go. Keeping benefits consistent with the current plan design. So we're not going to change the cost for generics or anything right now. No, this is just the overall plan moving the time period.
That is correct. That will be good news for our employees, of course, because there's no changes. But just keep in mind that recommendations are made based on data, based on our numbers. So as we move forward and we continue working with our consultant, and we keep looking at how we're trending and our experience as a group, then once we come back in, let's say, early next semester, we will make those recommendations based on that information. But at this point, there's no need to make any change in rates or plan designs.
Okay.
Have any other questions?
I just want to make sure that we're not gonna, this isn't final, we're still looking into it, correct?
That is correct. The recommendations that will be considered are the ones that you see before you on the screen.
And then, just for everybody else, we can still tweak it as we go, and I think we were talking about looking into another workshop for this, correct?
So for clarity, if we approve this right here, that means that we are going to extend the current year under the current, plan, and then that gives us the opportunity to, I believe it was, try and renegotiate some contracts and to understand what the impacts are, and then if we're able to do that, then we can make informed decisions based on that. Maybe it'll result in some changes, maybe it won't, but we'll have the proper time to complete that entire process and leave the current plan in place right now.
That is correct, Mr. Nojera. And to further elaborate, that request for proposals will allow us to see if we're missing any other opportunities when it comes to savings. So you're absolutely correct, yes.
Is there, what's the item on the agenda?
Approve?
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Cynthia Nahara and a second by Mr. Eddie Mena. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Carmona.
you. Have a good evening.
Good. Item 9C, consider approval of a final contract sum for the new auxiliary gyms at Horizon Heights, Loma Verde, Myrtle Cooper, Sierra Vista, Vista del Sol Elementary Schools, bid package. Mr. Tom Ianton, our presenter.
Yes, good evening again. On page 184 of your booklet, there is a breakdown of this final contract sum for Horizon Heights, Loma Verde, Myrtle Cooper, Sierra Vista, and Vista del Sol. Administration is recommending that the board accepts the work of the above projects and approve the final contract sum and payment as presented. Policy CV local, facility construction, the district shall not make final payment for construction or the supervision of construction until the work has been completed and the board has accepted the work. The Department of Facility Planning has completed our due diligence on the new auxiliary gym bid package 2 and present the following contract sum, deductive change order, and final contract sum and final payment for the board acceptance. The original contract sum for bid package 2 was $6,065,619. A deductive change order of $77,592.67 has been reviewed and executed by the interim superintendent, bringing the final contract sum to $5,988,026.33, with the final payment due the contractor of $299,401.32. Administration recommends approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Nahara and a second by Mr. Barrera. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. The next item.
The next
let's
item
go-
is the final contract.
Okay, I was going to go ahead and read
Go
it
ahead.
out for the public. Consider approval of final contract sum for the Pebble Hills High School field modification and sports lighting. Mr. Arrington.
Yes, as I stated earlier, policy CV local requires us to bring the final contract sum, deductive change order, and final payment to the board for approval. And our facility and planning department has reviewed everything on the Pebble Hills High School field modification and sport lighting and presents the following. The original contract sum was $913,035. A deductive change order of $14,844.80 has been issued and executed, with bringing the final contract sum to $898,190.20 and the final payment of $101,164.98. Administration recommends approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Eddie Mena and a second by Mr. Pablo Barrera. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item, item F, discussion possible action regarding Socorro Middle School metal sign located off of Alameda Avenue and Bovey Road. Mr. Arrington.
Yes, I believe you have the attachments in the, behind the page 186. This was brought to our attention by the city of Socorro that TxDOT plans to widen the bridge at Bovey Road and Alameda. And there is a metal sign, and if you turn to page 188, you can see a black and white picture of that sign. That sign has been up for as long as I know, before I got here, and I've heard it's been up since the 90s. And actually there's this sign, and then there's another sign on the opposite side, but we're only talking about the one closest to Alameda. Because they want to widen that bridge, the city has come back and asked us to verify that if we have any type of lease or agreement or anything that sign was put up, and we do not. We could not find anything. So they came up with a acknowledgement, as you can see on page 187. Of course, I sent this to our attorney, legal counsel, and had him review it. And basically, that's why we're bringing it to the board, because we don't know who put the sign up. I've heard rumors, but it's been up since the 90s. The property is owned by an individual out of California, and I don't have that individual name, but they live on Alcatraz Road. And so,
where Jimmy Hoffa's buried.
Right?
it's,
Underneath the
it's,
sign?
it's an individual that owns the property that we got off the CAD, Central Appraisal District. We found the records of that. And so, I'll let Mr. Blanco take it.
The recommendation is that the district remove the sign. We don't own the property that's on. We don't have any proof. We have right to have the sign there. The reason for the acknowledgement form is they ask us to sign it. They'll go out, they'll remove the sign on their own, then they'll charge us for the removal. And rather than be charged for that, I think we should do it. They said do it for free?
They said that the city said that they would remove the sign and deliver it to the warehouse.
Do it for free, we can let them do it. Our recommendation that we district, we don't know how it got there.
Is there a timeline when this is scheduled to be removed?
No, sir, I can find that out. As far as the work on the bridge or something?
The bridge, I mean, they're gonna have to move it before they start the bridge, but I was
Yes,
just,
sir.
because I'm still talking to the city, trying to get some information, but that's still gonna take me a little bit, it's gonna take them a little bit.
Okay, well, we can definitely check with the city also.
So, Steve, you recommend that we don't move the sign, let the city do it?
No, my recommendation was that we remove the sign. It's a Socorro ISD sign.
Is that gonna put any type of
Liability
on us?
As long as we don't destroy the property and damage it, we'd have to put it back to the shape that we found it in. I did not know, I originally thought they wanted to charge us to remove it, which is why they asked for the acknowledgement. If they're not going to charge the district to remove it, and they'll actually deliver it, and we can get that in writing from them, then we'd let them do it. But it's effectively a trespass to have that sign there. So they're saying, and assuming we put it there, we're not agreeing that we put it there.
Okay.
But it's there. Since it's a Socorro
Well,
sign.
yeah, we're removing it.
We're suggesting we remove it, yes.
But we don't have to take any action on this particular item, but then later, Mr. Ironton, when it's appropriate, will move the sign. I know we had, just because it's the high school I went to, Isleta had the same thing on Yarborough, just before you get to Alameda. And I believe what happened there is TxDOT removed the sign and it disappeared. When it came down to it, they couldn't find it anymore. And eventually it turned up in someone's yard, and they recently donated it back to the school. So, if the sign is important to the district, to the community, I would say it's probably best for us to take it down, knowing the timeline. And not do anything with this item, because we don't then, in that case, need to acknowledge anything.
Can we take the sign down and then maybe relocate it to, somewhere else?
That's what I was gonna talk about.
Out of the school?
Seeing if, getting with the city or maybe at the school, seeing if we can locate it there.
Yeah, we can look into that, yeah. Moving it to the district property.
No action then.
For the purpose of the motion, that we're going to take no action at this point.
That's
Until we-
fine, and the administration will just act with respect to the sign, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Arrington. Item 9G, discussion and possible action regarding SISD Police Department Incident Report, Procedures and Policies. Mr. Blanco?
Thank you, Board President Morales, members of the board, Dr. Carmona. This item's on there to allow the board to have a discussion. Chief Castorena is here regarding the format, the policies and procedures used to prepare certain types of reports. Mr. Castellano had asked about this. The reason this came up is because there was a recent report that was submitted to the board that I believe Mr. Castellano would like to see in a different format. That's up to you all as a board. The board directs the police department. The police department is under the direction and control of the board. So what you all might want in a report, what you all might want in summaries, is up to you to give them some guidance. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Castellano. I think he had some particular items he wanted to discuss on this. Thank you.
I had recently asked for an after-action report in regards to the pursuit that occurred last year in December involving the Socorro.
Clarification, if I may.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Nahara.
Mr. Blanco, just because of what you just said, I want clarity, please. It's my understanding that the only person that the board oversees is the superintendent. So any direction to the police chief would need to come from the superintendent.
In terms of the chain of command, yes, that's true, but the board has jurisdiction over the police department and the education code. So if there's something that you want to see, it's just information to the chief so he knows, okay, this is what the board wants to see. He'll be able to put that together for you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you for the clarification. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Castellano.
It's chapter 37 of the Education Code, indicates that the board has, shall indicate the boundaries and the duties of the police department. But basically it's, I asked for additional questions to be answered in that pursuit.
Yes.
And it falls in line with normal after-action reports that are taken by any agency.
Yes,
But this was.
and I realize that. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Good evening. We don't currently have a specific template because we've never submitted one.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore, I would like to know if there is a specific template you would like for us to use.
The questions I submitted, indicating just the timeline of how things played out that day.
Yes,
I already submitted it. I believe Mr. Blanco has a copy, and
So I want to be careful that we don't get into the details of that specific incident because it is still
Yes.
ongoing. What we're talking about now is what you would like to see, generically speaking, with respect to all
it's just
reports.
our actions, how, and it's, there's nothing in there that we're inquiring about the city of Socorro and their actions, just how we reacted to the situation. I explained to Mr. Morales and Mr. Mena what an after-action does, and it allows us to look at it in detail and say, do we need to make adjustments to our plan? And you did indicate something on your memo that there is something that does need to be adjusted, but we don't have to discuss that here, but there are things that need to be addressed.
And that's
So
correct, sir.
I'm just looking at the overall picture, so they can understand. Was the district put in unnecessary liability and stuff? And then it's for them to make the determination too. So it's not just for me. They need to understand that. And in my experience in law enforcement, it's a necessary report, so we can understand.
And I understand again, sir.
Yes, sir.
The only thing is that is still an ongoing investigation with the Rangers and the Sheriff's Department. Therefore, would rather not discuss it here.
Yes.
I would just like to know exactly to what degree. I understand what you're saying as far as the information, but is there a specific template that you would like us to use? Or I know there's a ton of them on.
Yeah, there's no
online and-
specific template, but the questions are there, and Mr. Blanco has them, and you can review them with him, and just explain how our units reacted that day. That's all I'm asking for.
Very
It's not more than anything else to ensure the community that we were there protecting our schools, that we did it right. If something went wrong, it's not a punishment document. It's a document to say, how can we do it better next time?
Sure.
And we can always improve. And even in my old job back then, we made our mistakes in some of our responses, but there's always room for improvement.
Oh, sure.
And I think it's definitely within the guidelines of the board to understand that and to see where we can do better.
Yes, sir.
Okay, especially the amount of liability a police agency can bring on a government entity.
Yes, sir, I understand that, but I can tell you that that was not the issue here.
I know, and just explain it.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
I'd make a suggestion that you, since this is something that if the board, I think we have posted for action, if this is something the board wants to see, that you allow the police department to maybe submit a set and that you guys can choose. so that when it comes up again in the future, if there's some other incident, you know what you're going to receive. So that somebody doesn't think something is missing, or you want to see something additional, because it requires work back and forth. So the police department has an idea of, okay, we did this, here's what we're going to report to the board, here's our template that we're going to follow, and you all can approve that.
I believe FEMA might have one online. We can look at that.
I'll explore those.
And just look at the questionnaires that I sent, and so we can get a clear picture of what happened. Sir?
We would need action just to back a template.
Okay.
But it also talks about the incident report procedures and policies. But there's also questions that I have with regard to the policies, and I already requested the information, but there was concerns there, so that's why I guess, I don't know, I'll refer to you, Mr. Blanco. Is that something that we discuss here, or is that something that we gotta discuss at an
I'm not sure
executive?
what you're referring to.
To the pursuit.
We're not talking, we can't talk about that specific item.
But it's part of the policy of the pursuit.
So with respect to that issue, I think it was responded to. District's pursuit policy, I believe Dr. Carmona provided that information. So I do believe that exists in terms of the policy that you have.
So where did you guys adopt the pursuit policy? Or did you guys create it on your own as a
No, that
board, or
pursuit
was
policy
it
was
adopted from a
adopted-
different
It
agency?
was adopted many years ago, probably at the inception of the department, and I understand that it came from the El Paso Police Department. That was before my time.
Yeah, there's, okay.
It's the last line in your memo that you submitted.
Yes, sir.
If you can review that and give me clarification on that.
Yes, sir. And
Yes.
if you like, I mean, safe for me to say, we can take it to the policy committee.
Okay.
Any further questions for the
The-
chief?
We need clear action,
The
Yes,
action,
I'm about
because
to.
I'm confused.
Yeah.
So there's
Well-
two things that I'm understanding are being done. One, assuming we need a motion on the board to agree that Chief Castellano will bring back a sample, a reporting policy. It's been referred to as an after-action report, different types of reports. A reporting policy for the board to review and then approve. Second, take to the policy committee a review of the pursuit policy. Policy
Yes.
committee will consider that and bring it back to the board.
but to also complete the after-action report on the
Well,
incident.
that's a different issue. I don't want to talk about that tonight.
So move.
That's what was brought up.
I know, so we're talking about forward-moving things, not things that were already completed, and there's a reason for that, and I can explain that to you in private, but,
Mhm.
and we can't talk about that particular incident right now.
Okay.
So move.
Do we need to repeat what you said, Mr. Blanco, or can we move on those two particular items for the record? I
For
want
Ms.
to make sure
Cedillo's
that.
benefit, it's two items.
Okay.
One, Chief Castellano will bring back a form for the board to consider in a template regarding reports of incidents and action. Second, he will take to the policy committee the pursuit policy committee to review, and then if necessary, bring it back to the board.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
I just want to add something. Chief, you can look, there's references from the FBI, Border Patrol, state, DPS, stuff like that, so you
Yes,
can
sir.
reference
Yeah,
those.
I've read several.
Okay, so then you read them already?
I've read several.
Okay.
I don't know specifically which format you want us to use, but I have seen after-action reports. I've read Sandy Hook, I've read the Miami, I even looked for the one for the Walmart, but I couldn't find one yet.
That's still under.
I know I had a motion by Mr. Nahara and a second by Mr. Mena. All
Mr.
those in favor?
Castellano.
Pardon?
I thought it was you, sir.
No.
Oh,
Was
sorry.
it-
I'll make the motion.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr.
Michael.
Oh, I made the motion. I thought you seconded.
No, no.
Oh,
That was
I'm
the
sorry.
first. Okay, Michael made it.
Just to clarify, Michael, Mr.
Mr.
Nahara
Mena made the motion. Second.
made a motion to approve and move forward, and a second by Mr. Eddie Mena. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. We'll move to item 10, executive session. The meeting is to be closed for consultation with legal counsel regarding pending interlocal agreement between the district and the county of El Paso, Texas. for the donation and transfer of certain real estate by special warranty deed to the county for school needs, to be used as a deceleration lane on the East Lake Boulevard that would provide safe access to district real estate, to discuss personnel and real estate matters, to consider administrative recommendations for principal position at H.D. Healy Elementary School, Assistant Director of Athletics, Dean of Instruction, positions at Eastlake High School, Montwood High School, Pebble Hills High School, and Socorro High School, Assistant Principal positions at Eastlake High School and El Dorado High School under Government Code Section 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074. We're going to move to executive session. The time is 8:35, and I'll go easy this time. We are back in session. The time is 9:08. Discussion and possible action to approve an interlocal agreement between the district and the county of El Paso, Texas for the donation and transfer of certain real estate by special warranty deed to the county for school needs to be used as deceleration lane on the East Lake Boulevard that would, in East Lake Boulevard that would provide safe access to district real estate. Our presenter, Mr. Blanco.
Thank you, Board President Morales, members of the board, and Dr. Carmona. I gave you an update on the status of the discussions with the county regarding a request from the county that Socorro donate a portion of real estate by the East Lake School on East Lake Boulevard. The purpose is for the county to construct at the county's expense, county to maintain, and the county to control a new deceleration lane that would help ease traffic on East Lake Boulevard. It's consensus of the administration and the county, obviously, that is a need. And since we own the property, we can donate it through an interlocal agreement and with a special warranty deed to the county. In exchange for that donation of the land, the county will construct, repair, and maintain the deceleration lane in that area. Alleviate traffic and congestion, and so the administration is recommending that we move forward and approve the interlocal agreement and the donation by special warranty deed to the county.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Michael Nahara and a second by Mr. Pablo Barrera. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item, 11B, consider approval of administrative recommendations. Our presenter, Dr. Carmona.
President Morales and members of the board, administration recommends Esteban Alvarez to assume the role and responsibilities as the principal of HD Hilly Elementary School.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Motion does not carry, and we'll move to the next item. Assistant Director of Athletics.
Members of the President Morales and members of the board, administration recommends Joy Woodard to assume the role and responsibilities as the new Assistant Director of Athletics.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion does not carry. Next item, item 3, Dean of Instruction for East Lake High School, Montwood High School, Pebble Hills High School, and Socorro High School.
President Morales and members of the board, administration recommends Emma Romero to assume the role and responsibilities as the new Dean of Instruction of East Lake High School.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
The motion does not carry. Next is Montwood High School, Dean of Instruction.
President Morales, members of the board, administration recommends Cassandra Hernandez to assume the role and responsibilities as the new Dean of Instruction at Montwood High School.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion does not carry. Item 3C, Pebble Hills High School, Dean of Instruction.
President Morales and members of the board, administration recommends Lorena Gomez to assume the role and responsibilities as the new Dean of Instruction of Pebble Hills High School.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion does not carry. Dean of Instruction for Socorro High School.
President Morales and members of the board, the position of Dean of Instruction for Socorro High School will be pulled. We will be reposting for this position.
No action will be taken. Item 4, Assistant Principal, East Lake High School.
President Morales and members of the board, administration recommends Esther Valle to assume the role and responsibilities as the new Assistant Principal of East Lake High School.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
The motion does not carry. Assistant Principal, El Dorado High School.
President Morales and members of the board, administration recommends Jaime Sanchez to assume the role and responsibilities as the new assistant principal of El Dorado High School.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
The motion does not carry. If there is no further business for this board, the meeting is adjourned and the time is 9:13.